All right, thank you. We have returned from executive session having received some legal advice. We now have before us Resolution 2020-15, a resolution requesting Florence County Council to refer the capital project sales tax ballot recommendation back to the commission for further deliberations in an effort to reach a decision that can be more universally supported. By way of background for the members of council and for the public at home, the county seeks the imposition of a sales tax. By state law, the county formed a commission to draft a ballot setting out what the sales tax revenue that would be collected over the course of, I think, 7 years would be used for. That commission was formed of 3 county appointees and 3 municipal appointees. And those appointments were made by the city council for the municipal, our portion of municipal appointees back in October of last year. Approximately 8 months passed and the commission didn't meet and no action was taken with regard to that proposed or potential referendum question. Last Monday, it was June the 8th, the city appointees received a notice from the county administrator that the county had called a meeting of that commission for Wednesday, which would have been June the 10th, and that the county had set the agenda for that meeting, which included voting on a proposed ballot question, which at that point, neither the commission nor anybody at the city nor anybody outside the county had ever seen. Last Wednesday, which was June the 10th, the day that commission meeting had been set by the county for 5 o'clock, I received an invitation from the chair of county council to meet on Thursday to discuss the proposed ballot in hopes that the city and county could reach agreement on what we thought that ballot should include. I wrote the commission that same day, Wednesday, asking them to defer any action on the referendum question until the city and the county could meet in hopes that we could reach agreement on what should be on that ballot and find a ballot that both the city and the county could support, which would be, of course, a ballot that at the end of the day would be drafted and voted upon by that commission. Wednesday night, however, the county presented the ballot they had drafted to the commission for a vote. Now, that ballot contains over $140 million of projects. No one at the city, no one on the commission, no one outside the county had seen that ballot proposal before it was presented to that commission by the county on Wednesday the 10th at 5 o'clock. Ultimately, the county was able to prevail upon the commission to vote and adopt that ballot about 2.5, 3 hours later. The commission voted 4-2 to adopt it, having only seen it for less than 3 hours. No one in the public had seen it. No one in the city had seen it. The next morning, Thursday, the date that I had been scheduled to meet with the county council chair to negotiate whether we could find agreement on the terms of that ballot that they had then passed the night before, I was notified that that meeting with the county council chairman had been canceled by the county council chairman. So with that situation before us, we are aware that the county is set to meet tomorrow to vote and to place the ballot that had been now voted on by the commission on the ballot in November for a vote of the community. Given that situation, we've received legal advice on that chain of events, and I'm asking the members today to adopt a resolution which respectfully requests that the county refer the capital project sales tax 3 ballot recommendation back to the commission for further deliberations in an effort to reach a decision that can be more universally supported. And it goes on that the city respectfully requests that the county work with the city to immediately schedule the opportunity for city and county officials to meet so they can engage in good faith efforts to reach an agreement with regard to the capital project sales tax, 3 recommendations, in order to garner more universal support for this important matter. Now, folks, we understand that the public will make its decision on this referendum, yea or nay, as they should. It is my preference and hope that we could advance a ballot to the public that the city and the county both felt supportive of. In fact, that everyone in the community, or by and large, could support. Unfortunately, the ballot that has been adopted by the commission and is before the county tomorrow lacks that deliberative process that I think could produce a ballot that could be universally supported. Members, we have talked ad nauseum about the need for road maintenance in the city and throughout the county. As we all understand, and as the newspaper has reported us talking about many times, we've got probably 100 miles of roads in the city of Florence alone. They cost approximately $1 million a mile to maintain. We have no revenue method to maintain those roads. As Buddy has pointed out several times, we've got 2 or 3 guys in a truck to try to fill potholes. That's the revenue we have. Now, of course, the taxpayers at home will say, well, now wait a second, you guys collect a $35 road maintenance fee on every one of my vehicles. And I've got 2 or 3 vehicles, I'm paying $60, $100, $130 a year for road maintenance. Why is it that y'all can't maintain the road outside of my house? And I would say that is a good question. That road maintenance fee, of course, is collected by the county. And they collect approximately $4 million a year. About $1 million of it is collected on city vehicles alone. And frankly, $4 million of road maintenance does not get done every year in the county of Florence. Certainly, the county doesn't spend $1 million every year on road maintenance within the city. That is a significant concern, and that is why I've argued many times that the most central and unfunded need we have in this county, certainly in the city, is road maintenance. And with respect to some of these issues, some of these items and projects that are on this ballot, and folks, one of the matters on this ballot that the commission has passed is $3.9 million for the development of a municipal golf course in Johnsonville. Now, I'm sure that's important, but I'm afraid my view is that road maintenance trumps those kinds of local projects. I'm also aware that, look, there's other critical needs in this community that sales tax, that folks have looked to sales tax as a potential source for. I hesitate to bring it up, but we all understand that the schools are a critical need, and that many folks supportive of schools have sought the sales tax as a potential revenue source for building schools, and had hoped that the legislature would authorize the same if the school district could present a sensible and equitable proposal. Of course, it's potential that this referendum forecloses that potential as well if these sales tax dollars are used the way it's been described. And of course, there are also concerns whether a sales tax should be imposed at all, given the economic situation that we have today. We've got, as we all understand, the highest level of unemployment since the Great Depression. And there are serious concerns about whether a tax at this point in time makes sense at all. Those are all legitimate and serious concerns, subject for sober and serious conversation and discussion and deliberation. And I'm afraid that the procedure that the county has adopted by, frankly, steamrolling and rushing this proposal through is not conducive to a serious discussion of these serious issues, and may well lead to significant opposition of the referendum in the community. So it's for those reasons that I asked the council to adopt this resolution and ask the county to take a more deliberative approach to this in hopes that we can find a better product that could be more universally supported. Having said all that, is there a motion?
Question.
Councilwoman.
I just want to be sure that all this is clear, because what I'm hearing is that with this vote, I'm concerned that I have not seen what is going to be in this particular packet. And also, I want to be sure what I've read in the paper. To my understanding now, I know we had 3 appointed municipal representatives to the commission. And I believe it was Mr. Swaggart and Mr. Ellaby and also Mr. Jabali. Now, if what I've read in the paper is clear, Mr. Jabali actually voted against the city, against the team that went forth to represent the city. Is that not correct? Did he vote against the municipal representative we had and voted with the county to move forward with this before we were even familiar with the situation? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
I just want to be sure that I was clear that one of our representatives, Mr. Bailey, voted against the city. I just want to be sure that that was correct in the paper.
Yes, ma'am, I think the newspaper's reporting on that was correct.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
When will we have an opportunity to review this list?
Councilwoman, I received that list from Mr. Swaggart, who, as Councilwoman Irvin indicated, was one of the municipal appointees to the commission. He received that ballot at the commission meeting when it was presented to them at 5 o'clock before they voted a couple hours later. That list has already been adopted by the commission. I will certainly circulate that to members of city council. I apologize, y'all haven't had it before now, but of course understand that nobody in the city or nobody else had that list before the commission voted on it. And so I'll certainly circulate that to you all.
Because I'm hoping that the old hotel on East Palmetto is on that list somewhere. If you can spend 3 million whatever on a golf course, you could definitely spend money to get that hotel and demolish it.
Yes, ma'am. Well, and remember, Councilwoman, I don't want to go too far off the discussion here, but that hotel is in the county, of course, and it's privately owned. And I don't think it appears on this ballot question, but I'll review that and I'll certainly share it with all of council. And it's my hope that the county will share it with the public at some point in time certainly before it's presented for a vote in November. Other discussion? Hearing none then is,
Well,
I'm sorry, Councilman Jabali.
Yes. The matter before the council right now is a matter that the city is asking county council to take a second look, to postpone and to delay the vote tomorrow to give additional deliberation to the matter before they vote on it and approve the resolution for the county, the additional sales tax. Is that correct?
It is, yes, sir.
And so the matter is a matter that I will tell you personally, I endorse the idea of having additional deliberation. At the same time, what I do know, and if I'm correct, the last time the city got $20 million, and this time the city is getting $40 million. Is that correct?
That's, as I understand it, as they've drafted the ballot, yes, sir.
Okay, so while it's not ideal that, and not everything that we would like, as a number of members have talked about, the proposal that's presented is double what was received earlier by the city. And so I'm always, as a member of the city, as a member proposing what's in the best interest of the city, I'm always looking for the best deal we can get on behalf of the city, and I think each of us feel that same way. And so for that reason, I certainly endorse the idea of going back and asking the county council to take another look at it, despite the fact that we've already gotten double the amount of what we got the last time. And $40 million certainly addresses a great amount of the needs that we have. It doesn't cover all of our needs, but certainly it covers a great amount of them. The big concern is that if this is at now is an all or nothing proposition. So now what we have is a situation where either the resolution, whatever the county decides, gets approved by the public, and we would get, at this point, $40 million, double what we got last time, or it's disapproved. So what we have is a situation that is either an all or nothing for the city. Either we, as it's currently presented. Now, the idea of going back and having additional deliberation is a good thing. That is a very good thing. However, the idea and what Councilwoman Myers-Irvin did by raising the question of who the members were now interjects politics into this question. And it's very sad. It's very sad that the councilwoman would do that in such a manner to indicate whose name was associated with which vote. And it's unfortunate. And in fact, the city attorney, Mr. Mayor, had a conversation with you prior to this meeting, specifically to address that question and to say, you know, politics has no place right before a runoff election. And we all know that that's coming up. Politics has no place in this. But Councilwoman Myers-Irvin decided to interject herself in politics into this by mentioning my brother's name, who was on this. Now, I will also share with you that I had no conversations with my brother, that he was, I don't know what happened. I certainly got no phone call from anybody associated with the city leading up to it, including you, Mr. Mayor. And so it's unfortunate that what was a straightforward matter involving a resolution to say, let's go ahead and present this to county council for their deliberation, despite the fact that we got twice the amount of money presented to us. But I'm in favor of a better deal. But instead, Councilwoman has taken this as an opportunity to use a platform for politics, and the platform for politics in city business has no place. And it's sad and it's unfortunate and it's very disappointing that she would use this as an opportunity to try to promote her and somehow undermine by naming names of who the members of council were. And so it is a very unfortunate matter and it's very sad.
Let's move forward, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
No question here.
Mayor, let's move forward. Call for the vote, Mayor.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, Auntie.
Okay, Mr. Jabali, I just want to make sure if you could explain the comment about all or nothing. Tell me what you mean by that.
What I mean by that is when the resolution goes to before the vote in November, if we, if the city is not behind it, if the county is not behind it, it's hard enough to pass it anyway. It's hard enough to pass one of these things because you're asking the residents of the city and the residents of the county to extend the tax. It's not a new tax, it's extending one. And what we have seen from the school district is that when you have division and dissension, the likelihood of something critical, and I'm going to tell you, this is critical to the city. It's also critical to the county. This is critical for all of us. We all need to be on the same page about it. And so it's either going to be up or down vote come November. It's not, the residents don't get a chance to do it. So we've gotten double from 20 million to 40 million, which is good. Is it as good as it can be? Perhaps not. Do I think it's good for us to go back to the county and to talk to them and see Is there a way to get more? Absolutely. But to use this as an opportunity to then throw a jab by naming names, there's no place for that. There is absolutely no place for that in this forum, and there's no place for it. And I absolutely take objection to it, and I absolutely think it is out of order. Thank you.
Statement.
Councilwoman, briefly, please.
Yes. It was a point of clarification because this is what was published in the Florence Morning News. Now, when we set this commission up in October, we appointed two members, Swaggart and Councilman Jabali. If I'm not in error, you stated that you believe that your brother could stand and be in a position to present the best option for the city. Now, the percentage that we raise when it comes to the taxes is not comparable to what we receive back to address the issues in the city. So my point of clarification is so that we will all understand what was stated in the paper. But not only that, when it comes down to the fact that we had three members who was representing us that could have voted, which would have prevented this from happening, so we could have the opportunity as a leader to see what was being positioned. We are now in a position that we truly don't have any input. We're now will be basically at the mercy of whatever the county council decide. And we don't even have the information about what is going to be presented. Yes, when we presented, these three went forward, it would have been my desire that they would have that meeting delayed, and they could have did a 3-3 if I'm correct, which would have gave us the opportunity to view the information. So it is important for our citizens to understand why was that not done. So it's not a political move, it's a factual move that was already presented to the public. So as a representative of the city, we don't even have the information about what's going to be done. And I do not like it when we as leaders are not informed. Our representatives should have still made it that particular meeting so we as leaders could have had the opportunity and the information to make an informed decision. And that's why I asked for a point of clarification to make sure what was in that newspaper was correct, because we wasn't informed of what happened. We didn't have the information. So that is what it was for. Clarification for us as leaders, but also for our community so that they would know that what was there was true or not, because it might have been an error in the paper. Because I don't see anything being 100%, but that's my point of clarification.
Mr. Mayor, I'm entitled to, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I'm entitled to respond.
Members,
Mr. Mayor, I am entitled to a response.
Listen,
I'm entitled to a response, Mr. Mayor. And what I'm going to say,
Mr. Jabali, you can have your response in the newspaper. Y'all can
no,
debate
sir, no,
where
sir.
you like, but
I'm entitled to a response on behalf of the city of Florence. I'm entitled to a response to say that this is something that we had an executive session about. Questions were asked, questions were open, discussion was done in executive session. Any clarification that needed to be done, any questions about trying to get additional information certainly was available in an executive session, but Ms. Myers-Irvin is taking this as an opportunity. She didn't do that during executive session, but instead does it in open session. And now what she's doing is jeopardizing the entire amount of money that the city has gotten, twice of which has come. And now she's doing it strictly for a political purpose by using my brother's name. And he was, by the way, there was another person who was named before that. The decision had to be made. It was an 11th hour, and the question was raised, is there anybody else that was out there? And my brother's name was thrown out, and I said, sure, let me ask him if he can do it. It was not that he was on the first list. He was on the other. But now what's happened is, thanks to Representative Councilwoman, she has now interjected politics into this, and I would suggest has jeopardized this entire thing, all because of her trying to take this moment to do that. And it's wrong, it's disruptive, it is divisive in our community, and it subjects this entire thing to being undermined and railroaded down and voted down, and it's wrong.
I think
that's Councilman. No further discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
No, Pat, please, let's.
No, I don't want, I want to say, let's call the question. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There's been a request to call the question. I have the authority, of course, to call the question. Mr. Bailey, I'm sorry you feel that way. I know it's an uncomfortable fact, the way that vote was conducted. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Peterson. While the nature of that vote may be uncomfortable, Mr. Bailey, for you, I'm sorry about that, but we do have this matter before us. I would say, though, before we vote on this, it is true that the amount that's been allocated by the county in this budget this ballot is $40 million compared to $20 million that they had allocated in the prior referendum from a few years ago. But I would remind the members that the sales tax generated in the city exceeds $100 billion. So if we've gone from 20% of what our taxpayers generate and the city generates to 40% of what we generate, I'm not sure that's a very good deal for the city taxpayer, particularly where our road maintenance fee is not being spent on road maintenance. Having said all that, is there a motion that the resolution should be adopted?
So moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Irvin. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Councilwoman Moore. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. The resolution passes unanimously. That concludes the matter on this agenda. Is there a motion we adjourn?
So moved.
Yes.
Hearing no objection, we adjourn. Thank you all.
Thank you.